Howdy. It's been a few days. It hasn't. I'm pretty sure I made a video yesterday, but like the last few days have been they have been. I'm trying to stay in the right energy because it's so easy right now to fall into a whole bunch of dumb bullshit for no reason that you end up just then like feeling like, oh man, that was just a waste of my time and energy and really took me off my game. And then you just start that cycle and then continue it. Like right now is like a perfect opportunity to get into negative cycles for no reason. So I'm avoiding that. I hope you are too. I hope you are too. But in case you're not, okay. Yeah, these cards are for you. This reading is for whoever is struggling to feel victorious right now. I said, if that's not how you feel, the first time I said it, the Ace of Pentacles came out in the reverse. The second time I said, if that's not how you feel, the Five of Pentacles came out in the upright. Then I said, this is for you, the Magician, in the reverse. Said, if that's not how you're feeling, if you're not feeling victorious, which is the Six of Wands in the upright. So, if right now you are feeling depleted, if right now you're feeling a lack of abundance, if right now you're feeling a pressure of not having enough, if it feels like there is some sort of success being waved over your head that you just can't reach, if you feel downtrodden, if you feel like you just don't have enough, if you feel like you've been through it and you still aren't seeing any success, if you feel like you can't recognize your own power, if you're feeling powerless, if you're feeling imbalanced, if you're feeling out of touch with your own skills to bring yourself to a point of complacency, not just complacency, victory, true victory and success. Complacency would not be the right word because that is rather flippant energy, right? We're not looking for flippant energy. We're not looking to settle for second best. We're not trying to just be appeased. There's some deeper longing within the collective right now, a much deeper longing than just feeling satisfied for today, right? Something so much deeper than, having just enough. Having a nice place to sleep tonight is not sufficient. Having food in your belly right now is somehow not sufficient. Having all of these different skills isn't sufficient. It's about being able to know exactly what to do, how to move forward, where you can feel secure, where you can feel safe, where you can feel stable, how you're going to get that abundance. Where is this victory? The whole collective is feeling that. And much of the collective is feeling a weird sense of victory without actually being truly empowered themselves. They're feeling the Six of Wands without being in their Magician energy. It's in the reverse. They are relying on someone else's supposed success in order to feel like they themselves are successful, and they're getting quite haughty about it and quite arrogant about it. In the meantime, that's leaving a lot of other people feeling disenfranchised and feeling like divine abundance isn't on their side because they're also seeing this success. The Five of Pentacles in the upright isn't a terribly positive card. This seems to be the only positive card, and it looks like it's in the direction of those that aren't truly in their divine power, right? What gives is the question that a lot of people are feeling and wanting an answer for. I can tell you off the bat that this is a matter of perception, perspective, and patience is quite necessary. What's being worked out is for the benefit of all, although it doesn't seem that way right now. And I'm aware that there are so many people being unjustly taken advantage of and unjustly brutalized and unjustly robbed. But there's a greater picture that's being painted in all of these things. And those are the shadows and the aspects of what is going to be a divine portrait of goodness and light. It is. It's just a matter of getting people to that point, getting people into that perspective, see, my left eye is itching because people aren't seeing things clearly yet. And it's because they're identifying themselves by the tangible. And the success doesn't seem tangible yet. It seems like it's tangibly in favor of those that would oppose what is truly good for the greatest whole, and for the collective as a whole. It seems that those that would parade themselves about while putting others down are receiving some sort of benefit. I assure you that's not what's going on. And those that have eyes to see they see it more clearly. They are not seeing it that way. But that is what the illusion would lead you to believe. And if you are given to the illusion, then you are likely feeling disempowered right now. Keep in mind that if you are feeling disempowered right now, it's because you're given to the illusion. Okay. Queen of Wands in the upright, the King of Swords in reverse. Queen of Wands in the upright and the King of Swords in reverse. Okay. The Queen of Wands in the upright is being clarified by the Five of Swords in the upright. And the King of Swords in reverse is being clarified by the Four of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. The reason that this disempowerment exists is because our King of Swords is in reverse. Our sense of truth and clarity of self is in reverse. And it's feeling, the swords, it's feeling much like we've been defeated. Right? And so then there's this weird sense of lack that comes into this Queen of Wands, as if our greatest skills, assets, and abilities aren't gaining us any sort of favor or success. There's this feeling of not having our abundance, and it's striking a sort of fear, but what's actually going on isn't that. That's just the illusion. That's just the feelings that are coming up. What's actually depicted, what's actually going on is that there is success in the skills and strengths of those comfortable with what they have, of those always seeking to do the best with what they have. Not those seeking for more and more power, not those seeking for how they can tear others down with this perceived victory. These people are not in their truth, and they're clinging to what they have in hopes that it's going to gain them something, and it's not gaining them anything aside from this illusion. The people that have been pushed down, the people that are being taken advantage of, the people that haven't received that abundance yet, those are the ones that can stand true in a comfort of sense of growth. Those are the ones that can stand true in a knowledge that these things are working out in their favor, and that they don't need, they can have just the one sword and they can fight these others, and there will be a victory. There is a victory. This is a sense of victory. In the same hand, there's a sort of confidence that comes from not having to cling to your own tangible resources and just relying on these bigger structures that are playing these roles. And there's a fear in the Black Cat, there's a fear of superstition that this is what I've become so accustomed to not having anything that is, you know, all that I can see, that's all that I have, that's all that this is. But that's not true. That's the illusion. That's the illusion. And these have separated themselves into two sides. So can I have, I need 2 defining cards for either side. I need a defining card for either side. 2 cards total. And for the second side, on the side of the disenfranchised, on the side of those that are feeling a sense of loss, feeling like it must be hopeless, despite there actively being a victory here. These cards are far more positive than they seem. There's an active victory here. There's an active strength and comfort here. It's just shrouded by the arrogance of this other side that is claiming a victory right now. But the card representing this first one is the Page of Cups in the upright, which is an opportunity to see things differently, an opportunity to take what is being given and to make the most of it, an opportunity to kind of take charge of one's own emotions and almost like befriend these things. I mean, it's so fun. This card always makes me feel some funny type of way because there's a fish in his cup, which, like, who wants a fucking fish in their cup when they're trying to drink some water, right? But he has a smile on his face about it. There's something very lighthearted about that. In the sense of, like, there, you can't anticipate exactly what it is that you're going to receive. That's part of this game. That's part of the power of always having been so disenfranchised and not being able to have those tangible things to trust in, is because you have an awareness of a power greater than that which is directly received, which is directly given, which is directly depicted. Where what these people are falling back on the other side is a failed sense of nostalgia, trying to claim and stand in this power that isn't truly theirs. And, you know, there is no generosity in this card. There is no love or actual hope, or, you know, in the reverse, it's coming from an insecurity. It's coming from an insecurity, and it's all, like I said, it's all just this veil being put over what's happening right now in order to try to get anyone who would be willing to flip sides and fall over onto one side too. That is the work that's trying to be done right now, okay? To gain the favor of any of those that, you know, allow themselves to feel burdened enough and broken down enough that they forget the power that they have in those things. Anyone who's not in this energy of being like, I'm one man against 2 people. I'm a small, insignificant aspect of something greater, and that makes me feel hopeless. It's people that are feeling hopeless by that. It's people that are not embracing the fact that they don't need all of the things that everybody else has in order to be successful. It's people that are looking at this literal King of Swords in the reverse and are saying that's better because it's a king than my Queen of Wands in the upright. It's people that are literally looking, you know, at these people who are mocking what we know to be stability, like what is true stability, because like I said, they're gaining favor by not being in their truest power. They're gaining favor by having all of these others surrounding them, waving their wands. And so we have people over here that aren't embracing the power that they have as the underdog, you know, and they're allowing it to leave them feeling some way, but ultimately, when the veil is lifted, what's here is an opportunity for something strange and mysterious and powerful, and it's life. It's life in this cup. It just doesn't look like exactly what we've determined it would look like. You know, and that's part of this too, is that like, there's a sense here that you're receiving, if it were in the upright, that you would be receiving what is to be expected to some degree, but it's beyond that. We're not receiving what is to be expected. Can I have clarification for the Page of Cups? The King of Wands in the upright. The King of Wands in the upright. This is someone who claims power without having the truth. This is someone who surely knows themselves and knows how to work with what they're given, even beyond the comfort of just trusting in their growth and personal balance. This person actually has the skill to enact those things. And a clarification for the Six of Cups in the reverse is the Chariot in the reverse. Just be patient, because I promise that these things are stopping. They're stopping. This cannot move forward. This energy is sticky and gross. It's not beneficial to anybody. It's toxic, and it's not going to continue to be able to move forward. A stop is being put to it. But we have to move out of these negative energies into these positive ones. These energies on this side, they're not going anywhere. What it naturally leads to, it's not going anywhere good. The sense of not having true divine abundance and not knowing where your abundance is going to come from leads you to a space of being able to be comfortable in growth and with the things that you have. What happens when you are impoverished and when you are broken down and when you feel incapable is that you move into a space of being able to realize that even despite being the underdog, you can still succeed. What happens when you're not in your true magician energy, and when you're thinking that your power comes from something outside of yourself and comes from limiting other people, is that you yourself end up feeling limited. How do I put the Four of Pentacles in the reverse? Because it's not clinging to that tangibility. It's not having any tangibility to cling to. Can I have a better clarification for the Four of Pentacles in the reverse, please? Death in the upright. Okay, so there's a transition. There's a transition. I always see death in the positive. There's so much negativity going on this side that I would like to see it. I would be given to seeing it in the negative, but I've also learned better than to give energy to that side in that way. So I'm still choosing to see it in the positive. And what I'm seeing is that those That there is a transition. There's a transition to better. But it's not within the power of the magician. They're still in reverse. It's not in the power of the King of Swords. They're still in reverse. The sense of victory, this sense of victory with all of these people around also claiming a sense of victory, moves into the King of Swords that doesn't actually know what their truth is. They were defining themselves by everybody else agreeing with them and everybody else supporting them. And as soon as this transition happens, it's a positive transition, but as soon as this happens, it just doesn't look like what it's anticipated to look like. Give me one more movement card. Give me one more like transition further for the future of either of these sides. Okay. The Page of Wands in the reverse and the Two of Pentacles in the reverse. Okay, well, can we have a balancer between those then, please? The Empress. Great, cool. Okay. This is a really hard time, okay? This is a hard time for people. This is a time where I know I keep calling it abundance. I know I keep calling it positive. I know I keep talking about these things coming to fruition where we gain this great reward for being patient and for doing the work. And I assure you, I promise you that's what it is. But it's not going to look like that just yet. The next step of this phase is going to look like losing a little bit of faith because it just seems like it's not happening. But while we're actively trying not to do this and trying not to lose faith, but start to feel it wavering, the other side starts to lose its balance over its material abundance. Okay? And the ultimate, what happens out of both of that, it's pretty much just shaking. It's a shaking. It is a shaking to separate the wheat from the chaff. Now, if you don't know that reference, when wheat is being harvested, what you want is the wheat. The wheat is what has all of the nutrients. The wheat is what has all of the good fiber. The wheat is what the actual product that you're looking for out of the harvest is. However, the way that wheat grows is that what grows up is that there's chaff that grows up with it. It looks like wheat, but it isn't wheat. It is essentially, it's kind of like a weed. It doesn't cut out the wheat. It just doesn't have the same nutrients or fibers or any sort of benefit that wheat has. And it is dead and dry. And when wheat is harvested, it's shaken in order to separate the chaff out of the wheat. That way you have the bulk of the product that you're actually looking for, and anything that isn't that actual product that you're looking for is shaken away. This is why it is so important to stay in a positive energy and to stay comforted by one's own self and to know oneself truly. The Empress, even more than the Emperor, is standing in one's own personal power. The Emperor is when you're able to move forward into trusting that your power can go out and speak for itself externally, but the Empress is not that. The Empress is that it speaks to myself truly, and I rest assured in that. It's a self-empowerment card. And as these things are getting shaken up on both sides, there's going to be negativity seen on both sides. There's going to be struggle and the structures breaking down on both sides. There's going to be those that have always been crushed by the weight of reality that never get to this point. And they're going to be shaken away like the chaff. Just like all of these people who were so arrogantly, living in their privilege without ever giving any benefit to anyone else. There's an importance in finding the positives in every one of these aspects and focusing on those things. Because there is positives to be had in different ways. But truly, those who have taken on the struggles of life the uncertainty, the seemingly unfairness, those who have walked through that darkness, those are going to be the ones that end up receiving the grace and the goodness. There's far less on this side because this side has privilege. There's far less on this side because this side is arrogant and, hates anyone that isn't like them, right? But those characteristics, what I'm describing, falls on either side of the actual paradigm. Okay, I don't mean to keep talking in a duality, but it does exist. Within the paradigm, there is this duality that actually exists. And within our tangible reality, there's these dualities that exist. The same thing could be said for one side that could be said for the other. And it's going to continue to move in that direction until you can't fully separate them. These are both very similar cards. And ultimately, let me get one more definer for each side. Right? The downfall of the disenfranchised not coming to a power within themselves to accept, this is my role in life. This is what I've been receiving. I can still find peace in this. Because if you have never received anything good in your life and can still make the most of it out of it, you're going to be far more powerful than those who have always been given everything and that just truly embrace gratitude. To be able to be thankful when you have nothing is a power like no one else's. But if you do not embrace that, if you keep looking and comparing yourself and trying to compete with the other side, you're going to find yourself in the Queen of Cups in reverse. You're going to find yourself in this place of being completely discomforted, of being overwhelmed with your emotions, of feeling like your own emotions are attacking you, of feeling like your own emotions are attacking you, like out of control with yourself. Just as much as if you don't find what privilege you have and learn how to use that for the benefit of the whole, and don't find gratitude in all of the privilege that you have and become arrogant, you're going to find yourself in the Three of Cups in reverse, which is, you're not going to have anyone there for you. You're not going to have this feeling of celebration with the community. You're not going to have a community. You're not going to have any sort of abundance to be appreciative of. Those things are going to be wiped away because the illusion is going to be wiped away. That is the state of the illusion. The state of the illusion is that because I've been hurt, I deserve to not be hurt anymore. Unfortunately, that's not true. It's only true if you are an actual good person that cultivates gold out of those experiences. But if you let negative experience make you a negative person or just continue to add to your negativity, you don't deserve anything more than the arrogant people that refuse to be grateful. But if you, like I said, if you've received all of this greatness, and instead of comparing yourself to those that don't have anything, saying oh man, they're so much better off than I am because they get to receive from what they don't have, because there's people that do that, and I know that's crazy, but there's also this concept of feeling jealous of those who have been through more because you feel a lack of gratitude for your own experiences, and to see them grateful for what little they have when you have so much you struggle to be grateful for. Competing in that way is not going to gain you any favor. It's never going to gain you any favor. All of this is about looking into the worst of the worst and pulling the best out of it, because you have the best in you, because you are the ultimate alchemist that can alchemize those things into gold, because you can find the gold in all of those things. All things, every experience that we could ever have, including all of the atrocities that are happening around the world right now, all things are given for good to those that love good. But you have to love good. You have to have goodness in your heart that you're trying to pull from, that you're trying to cultivate, that you're trying to see out in the world. Because if you don't, if what you have is jealousy on either side, if what you have is contempt on either side, if what you have is a bitterness that you've received this or that you haven't received this or vice versa, you're not ever going to come into a place of being able to be true to yourself, being able to sit comfortably and confidently in yourself, being able to know what it is that you have to offer the world, what the world is offering through you, you will never get to that part. You will never get to that space. You will find yourself absolutely wrapped up in the utter chaos that could be conveyed here if you aren't willing to look through the chaos into the specific points of benefit. And that's a very specific point of what I do when I do these types of oracle readings. They're not tarot readings, they're oracles. I can oracle off of anything. This makes it very simple because they have already their own definitions. But I'm able to pull what I want to see and read out of these things, right? That's the power that we have in our own capacity to receive. You know, I grew up in a Christian church where I was being taught the Bible every single day of every single week. But depending on which pastor you were listening to, depending on, you know, how you were choosing to read it yourself, you could pull many different things out of that book. It's not because the book is conflicting. It's because we're conflicted. And the second that we're not, the second that we're all just in alignment to receive good, the good that is there, that's where the alignment comes in. And I've had people who are atheists or people who are Muslim read from the Bible and take good from it, just as much as I've been able to take good from other sources. But that's because I have good in my heart, and those people have good in their heart, and the goodness is the truth. All of the rest of those things, all of the rest of it, I assure you, all of the rest of these definitions are going to fall away. And unless you are confident in yourself and comfortable in your own skin, you're going to end up falling on one side or the other. You're, in fact, one side or the other. You're not going to be that wheat that is then taken as a substantial product of the experience. You're going to be the chaff that falls one way or the other and is blown away. Is blown away with the wind. You're not going to be that thing that can be cultivated into something deeper. And I've said it like in my own belief systems to others, not in any of these videos, but like, you know, I studied quantum theory for a while, and it really changed my perspective on the way that I was taking religion at the time. But ultimately, the way that I tend to look at things is that matter can't be created or destroyed. We are all matter. Our DNA is the code in which our experience is derived. When we die, we are gone. When I die, Jam Fox won't exist any longer, right? Whatever legacy I leave behind will continue to exist. If you have children, those will continue to exist, hopefully. You know, like, there's things that exist beyond you, but ultimately when you die, you're gone. You cease to exist. Your chemistry breaks down and then goes back into other like chemistry, like a magnet. All of what you leave behind goes back into where it was originally found. And the things that we do in our life, the ways that we choose to live, the things that we choose to consume, the way that we choose to alchemize those things, all becomes part of that breakdown. Ultimately, if you are just given to hatred and bitterness and everything that you do only serves you and never goes beyond you, when you die, you are going to break down to carbon and you will cease to exist fully. But if you put actual, like, attention, love, care, and gold, you know, the gold, the metaphor for what that means, if you put the best into yourself, then when you die and break down, the best is still left to move out into all things, and that continues to exist. That is the state of eternal life, for as far as I'm concerned. There's a reason that we are meant not just to claim a certain name that isn't our own and then say, now I can do whatever I want because I have this name on me. You don't get to hurt people in the name of Jesus and then think that that's going to get you to heaven. That's not how it works, right? And I think most people are well aware of that. The breakdown that I see is that eternity is one in moments. We're existing in it right now. So the things that you experience in your life and the way you choose to experience them is important because that is part of eternity. And that is within your choice as long as you exist. to choose which side of eternity you are on. But then even when you die, the breakdown of those things also goes into the rest of eternity. And if you want to continue to exist, you do continue to exist through the things that you actively do in this world today. I know there's a lot of people out there that think that claiming power over others, that raping and pillaging and genociding and enslaving is what's going to build a legacy. And I'm aware, like I said in a different video, that there's been a few thousand years where that's been the case. There's been more than a few. And that seems to be the case, but I promise you that these wheels are turning. That's not always going to be the way that it is. That's for a time, and for a time that's how it was. But true legacy is going to exist so much beyond this history. You know, like even all of the conquerors who rewrote history, we know now, we're finding now more and more that like their history was illusionary and that there were so many other things that existed. And even if we can't quite get back to that, even if we can't quite know those things or understand those things, that doesn't mean that the legacy doesn't continue. This is an energy transference that we're talking about. That's something so much deeper than just the tangibility of how many followers you have or how much money you have in the bank or how many people, you know, would stand up and defend you. You know, those things can be important to some degree, but ultimately legacy is something so much greater than that. And when you die, like I was a hospice nurse and I dealt with people dying and I dealt with them, you know, completely uprooting their entire psychology just to try to process what was happening to them and everything that they stood for and all of these things that they had done and all of these secrets that they had kept and all of these people that they thought that they loved more than these other people. Like none of that mattered. None of that mattered in their last moments. And in their last moments, all they wanted was to be at peace. Every single one of them, no matter how mad they were, how embittered they were, how much they were like, no, I'm going to go out on my own terms. They still just wanted peace. They wanted peace within their own souls, within their own selves. They wanted peace with their highest power. And that's why I care so much to teach these things now, because I am 35 years old, almost 35 years old, and I don't want people living at my age when I can cultivate these things in myself. There's no excuse. I don't want people living for the next 40, 50, 60 years holding on to things that don't serve them just so that at the end of their days, if they happen to be able to actually walk slowly into that death instead of being taken up in a car accident or by cardiac arrest or whatever, you know, if they can actually even see that they're in a place of being like, man, nothing I actually truly believed is really, really matters. None of the things I have always been mad about actually matter. None of the people I was bitter about, none of these, you know, secrets that I've held, none of this actually matters. Why are we doing that to ourselves? When we have the power right now to acknowledge these things and to move into something so much greater. The time is now. It is happening right before us. We are being forced into that place whether we want to accept it or not. And this is all part of the process. So I don't fear the things that are happening. I don't fear the support that certain levels of evil are getting because I don't believe that those things have any true power. I can recognize that those things don't have any true power. Half of the people that have ever tried to come up against me truly fear me. Some of them just didn't even consider me, but most of them that did were only doing it because they fear me. That's wild. That's wild. That says something very deep about the nature of their power and it being based in fear. And that's why I don't give power to fear. And that's what makes me powerful. You know, it's not as complicated as we tend to make it. I'm aware that there's all this chaos and that there's all these sides and that there's all these different choices to make, but ultimately it just comes down to you choosing you and choosing to give yourself your best. And when you give yourself your best, you can give the world your best. And when you receive the best and you put out the best, then you can rest assured that the best is going to come from that because you're not giving it any other option. I'm not planting orange seeds hoping I gain an apple tree out of it. But if I continue to plant apple seeds, I can assure that I'm going to get an apple tree out of it as long as I'm cultivating those seeds, as long as I'm planting them in the right places, as long as I'm being patient until that tree grows. That is what I can be assured of, you know? And it's about breaking those things down too, you know, to know the health of what it is that you're offering. And you know, I had said today too, I had found a video of a girl who cleaned a room, a little like 4-year-old girl who had cleaned her room, which she did, and she did a great job, but largely in part because she just removed all of the mess from her room, all of the clothes, all of the toys, all of the everything from her room, and just packed it into the hallway. The parents are like, oh, you did clean your room, right? But it was a reminder to me of healing and how, you know, so many people, you know, will beat themselves up because they don't know how to just forget all of the things that have happened in their past. And those things are very triggering. Or people that just want to move past those things and want to be like, you know, no, I've accepted Jesus now, so you can't hold the fact that I was a sexual assailant in my past against me. Like, that's not true healing. That's not what it looks like. That's not how it works. That's just pushing all of your bullshit into the hallway, into everybody else's space, where now they have to deal with it. I'm glad your room is clean, but you've made a mess of things. Like, true healing is being able to take all of the bullshit that you have, all of the terrible experiences that you have, all of the negativity that lies deep within you, and being able to put those things into their proper spaces so that you can use them for their greatest good, you know? And it takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes knowing oneself, and it takes being able to be vulnerable enough with oneself that you can look at all of those things for what they are and find a proper place for them. And sometimes it takes readjusting and reorganizing and doing it again and again and again and again and again until you can finally know how to use those things properly and where they truly belong. Sometimes it's an incredibly long process. Sometimes it takes a lifetime. Sometimes you die before that process is completely fulfilled. But I will tell you that if you are doing that work, you will find yourself far better off than those that refuse to, and those that continue to suppress it, and those that continue to shit on everybody else while claiming that they're so powerful. Don't give those people power, because they don't really have it. They don't really have it. If they did, they wouldn't have to push everybody else down to show that they had it. They could just stand in their power. If you were really such a powerful magician, you wouldn't have to sit there and kill innocent little animals or curse people in order to be powerful. You could just be powerful, you know, and we need to stop giving into these systems, and we need to start doing the work, the actual work, not just pushing it off into the hallway. We need to move those things into our life in a way that is healthy, in a way that we can utilize for the best. On both sides. It needs to be done on both sides. You know, that's part of the illusion. There isn't actually two sides. It's all connected. It's all connected. And to us, innately, you know. That's about all I got. I would love to add other words of wisdom just to resolute this a little better, but this was the message. This was the message that I got for you right now. I hope that it's helpful. I hope that in the midst of a very chaotic environment, you are able to find peace, you're able to find your structure, you're able to find your balance, you're able to find your confidence, and you're able to move forward in those things, in trust and faith that you will see success on the other side as long as you're putting away all of the bullshit, not supporting any of it, and, you know, stepping into your highest power and trusting yourself to do that. You're the only one who can. Nobody can do that for you. Okay. Well, have fun, and I will see you in the next video.